Welcome to the Cosmos Ecosystem News Roundup. Here are the top stories in Cosmos in the first half of October. Bitcoin goes to Cosmos. Bitcoin holders will soon have, at the end of October, a new, decentralized and permissionless option with Nomics and BTC to deploy capital in Cosmos DeFi and earn yield. In this episode, we explain in detail why nBTC is more secure, permissionless, and decentralized than wrapped BTC. dYdX V4 chain launch phases. As the mainnet launch of the dYdX V4 chain is approaching, there will be several phases of this launch, including pre-genesis, genesis, and several post-launch phases. All details are in this episode. Also, we cover additional important dYdX governance discussions related to the migration to the new V4 chain, such as V4 incentives or migration of treasuries. 𝐂𝐓𝐻 swap feature. A new useful swap feature has been added in the 𝐂𝐓𝐻 wallet, greatly improving the UX. Focus sections about Osmosis, Injective, Secret Network, Persistence, Juno, Stride, and crypto regulations and compliance updates with MME. All this and much more in this episode. And now for today's top stories. Wrapped Bitcoin has around $4.5 billion in market cap. This indicates that an important subset of BTC holders are looking to participate in DeFi to earn yield from their BTC rather than keeping their BTC idle. If you are a BTC holder, you may have heard of Nomic and nBTC. In this episode, we'll explain why nBTC is more secure and decentralized than the wrapped BTC, and why, as a BTC holder looking for DeFi yield, you should use nBTC instead of wrapped BTC. nBTC has a highly decentralized custody of BTC. What happens to your BTC when you get wrapped BTC? They go to 𝐵TGO, since it is the only custodian for wrapped BTC. This is similar to fiat-backed stablecoins, where a centralized custodian keeps the fiat reserves. In the case of wrapped BTC, a centralized custodian, 𝐵TGO, keeps the BTC reserves. So, as a BTC holder, now you need to trust 𝐵TGO since they now have your BTC. The wrapped BTC supply reached a peak of around 250,000 BTC in mid-2022, and currently it is around 163,000. This is likely due to BTC holders seeing centralized custodians as a higher risk due to the events that happened with centralized entities recently. So who are the custodians in the case of this new nBTC? Where are the BTC kept? The Nomic BTC sidechain is called the PEG network, and it owns a BTC wallet. And the 100 validators of this PEG network become the signatories of the BTC reserves, each with a known Bitcoin-compatible public key and amount of voting power, depending on their weight in the consensus process. It is required 2/3 of the network to sign off on a dispersal transaction of native BTC. Basically, the validators of the Nomic sidechain become the signatories of the BTC reserve because their signatures are required to control the funds on the Bitcoin blockchain. This means that it is non-custodial, decentralized, and permissionless. nBTC is an IBC-compatible token that represents one-to-one ownership of Bitcoin. But the BTC is secure and locked by the Nomic protocol, and its decentralized validator set not by one centralized custodian like 𝐵TGO in the case of wrapped BTC. nBTC has several other advantages over wrapped BTC. nBTC is permissionless, so no KYC or AML is required if you are a BTC holder and want to get wrapped BTC. You would need to request these tokens from a so-called merchant. But this merchant needs to perform the required KYC and AML to verify your identity before you can get any wrapped BTC. In addition to this, you not only need to trust 𝐵TGO with the custody, but you also need to trust the merchant. Because you send your BTC first to the merchant, who then sends your BTC to 𝐵TGO. The founder of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, is unlikely to get wrapped BTC since he wouldn't do any KYC procedure. But what about the upcoming native wrapped BTC on Osmosis? The only difference here is that instead of bridging the wrapped BTC from Ethereum to Osmosis via XLR, the wrapped BTC would be issued directly as a Cosmos token, so the XLR bridging wouldn't be required. But the BTC would still be controlled by one centralized custodian, 𝐵𝐞, and KYC and AML would still be required. So Satoshi still wouldn't use native wrapped BTC on Osmosis. nBTC, in contrast, is totally permissionless. Satoshi or any BTC holder could send BTC directly to the secure address managed by a decentralized Nomic validator set. No KYC, no AML, no merchant intermediaries, and no need to trust merchants to send them your BTC. Also, no need to trust a single centralized custodian. Then nBTC will be received via IBC directly in your wallet on Osmosis, Injective, Cosmos Hub, or any other Cosmos ecosystem network. And then this nBTC can be used to participate in Cosmos DeFi. Collateral requirements of nBTC. Why has there been a great adoption of wrapped BTC but not of other more decentralized and permissionless options such as tBTC, for example? This is due to the collateral requirements. The signatories of tBTC or similar solutions need to be over-collateralized relative to the BTC reserves being managed. For example, with a collateralization ratio of 1.5, this means that with a $1 billion in the reserves, the signatories would need to invest $1.5 billion in outside capital as collateral. This collateral requirement prevented the adoption of more decentralized and permissionless solutions in favor of the centralized wrapped BTC. So how does Nomic solve this collateral issue? Nomic collects revenue by charging a fee from all accounts holding claims to BTC on the sidechain. As more BTC is deposited, the revenue would increase, and then the value of the NOM staking token can be estimated by discounted cash flow. The fee would be dynamically adjusted. If the staked value in the Nomic sidechain is too low, the fee would be increased. And similarly, the fee would be decreased if the staked value is higher than necessary. We can understand now why initially there will be a deposit limit of 21 BTC. During the bootstrapping phase, the NOM token and hence the staked value needs to increase in value since there is a collateral for the BTC reserves. Both the BTC reserves and the staked value should grow proportionately. It makes sense to put this initial 21 BTC limit because if a lot of BTC is deposited initially while the staked value is low, then the fee would need to be very high. This capacity parameter limit will be controlled by the Nomic DAO. Risks and security of nBTC. In the case of wrapped BTC, these are the steps to get your BTC into Osmosis. Do the KYC and AML with one of the merchants. Send your BTC to the merchant who sends your BTC to 𝐵𝐞 and give you ERC20 wrapped BTC. Get XLR wrapped BTC and then send to Osmosis via IBC. With native wrapped BTC, this third step is avoided, but KYC, AML, and centralized custodians are still required. In the case of nBTC, these are the steps to get your BTC into Osmosis. Send BTC permissionless to the Nomic sidechain BTC wallet managed by a decentralized validator set. Receive nBTC on Osmosis. To understand this, imagine that you are sending Osmo to Secret Network, for example, over IBC. Firstly, the Osmo is logged into a relay chain, and the one-to-one IBC Osmo is minted on Secret Network to be used. So in the case of nBTC, Nomic has built a POS relayer onto the actual Bitcoin chain, and similarly BTC is locked, and nBTC minted in the specific Cosmos chain and arrives there via IBC. What are the security mechanisms for nBTC? Firstly, stake tokens act as a collateral for the signatories. Then there is an emergency dispersal process protecting against liveness failures. This means that if for some reason the 100 Nomic validators or signatories are unable to reach consensus for a certain amount of time, then all the BTC in the reserves will automatically be transferred to the respective nBTC holders. Moreover, Nomic's Bitcoin checkpointing mechanism allows to prevent long-range attacks by utilizing the proof-of-work security of the Bitcoin blockchain. This is achieved by periodically timestamping the sidechain on the Bitcoin blockchain. thus gaining the security of Bitcoin's proof of work in addition to the instant finality of BFT consensus. This checkpointing process is also used for the emergency dispersal since signatories sign an emergency dispersal transaction that is time-locked at some future date past the checkpoint. This means that the emergency dispersal happens only if a checkpoint has not been created for a certain amount of time. However, if an emergency dispersal does happen, while BTC holders will be unaffected since they will receive all their deposited BTC, the validators and stakers of the Nomic sidechain would lose everything because since no BTC would be deposited, then all the Nom stake would lose its value. Therefore, this incentivizes signatories to avoid extended periods of liveness failure and hence avoid an emergency dispersal. What if the Nomic chain is hacked? Then this kill switch could be activated. 1/3 of the validators could halt the chain and then the emergency dispersal would be implemented. But what if the attacker controls over 2/3 of the staked value, so this attacker can censor fraud proofs and avoid getting slashed? Nomic also has a solution for this called stake locking. This means that if the attacker requests to unbond, the stake wouldn't be received until after proof of a checkpoint committed to the Bitcoin blockchain, which reflects the unbonding in its updated signatory set. In other words, the attacker would need to remove his own control from the reserves on the Bitcoin blockchain before they can receive their stake. Moreover, if attackers successfully commit an unexpected spend from the reserves, then all stake would be forfeited, and it would be impossible to unlock as now a valid checkpoint is impossible to produce. Tech of nBTC. It is important to notice that wrapped BTC doesn't communicate at all with the main Bitcoin chain. It is just an ERC20 token. In contrast, in the case of nBTC, the phone communications happen between the Nomic sidechain and the main Bitcoin chain. When a Bitcoin block is minted, the header is relayed to the Nomic sidechain. When BTC holders deposit BTC in the Nomic BTC address and the deposit transaction is confirmed, these transactions and a Merkle proof are relayed to the Nomic sidechain. In addition, when a checkpoint is assigned by the Nomic signatories, the assembled transaction is broadcasted to the Bitcoin main chain. Thanks to Schnorr threshold signatures, the cost of these checkpoints can be lowered by combining the signatures of the signatories into a single constant size signature. Another advantage of this, which is very relevant, is the possibility of scaling the signatory set with no extra cost on the Bitcoin blockchain. Regarding the relaying process, no trust is placed in the relayer nodes, and as long as one relayer node is active, the system operates correctly. However, it is expected that many sidechain full nodes will run relayers. Interchain deposits are also an important feature. If you are a user in Osmosis or in any other Cosmos chain, you are able to deposit BTC from any of these Cosmos chains and then receive the nBTC directly on the specific Cosmos chain. Nom and the Nomic sidechain. Nom is a token used to secure the Nomic sidechain, and the staking rewards are BTC rewards from the fees of the deposited BTC and from inflation rewards, which currently have an APR of around 50%. Nom has a fixed maximum supply of 210 million Nom, and the network started with a supply of 21 million Nom. The maximum supply will be reached after 9 years, and the inflation will be decreased by 1/3 every year. While Nomic uses Comet BFT and IBC, it is not built with the Cosmos SDK. Nomic is built on Orga, which is a custom high-performance blockchain application framework. Orga is written in Rust and engineered for maximum performance and security. Thanks to this, Nomic has a performance that is 100 times higher than other Cosmos-based chains. In addition, advanced features can be built with 10 times less code. Nomic has been under development since 2018 by early Cosmos/Tendermint devs, and is one of the first non-Cosmos SDK blockchains to implement IBC in production. The latest Namada testnet launched on October 4th, and the highlight of this testnet is that IBC transfers between Namada and Cosmos were successfully implemented. There will be upcoming incentivized testnets, and the mainnet is expected in Q4 this year. Together with Nomic's nBTC or dYdX v4, Namada is one of the most anticipated projects in the Cosmos ecosystem. We are participating in the testnets and will continue supporting Namada as the mainnet approaches. A new very useful feature has been added to the 𝐂𝐲 extension. Imagine you have some 𝐂𝐭𝐡 tokens and you want to swap these tokens to Atom. Previously, it was required to deposit 𝐂𝐭𝐡 in Osmosis, do the swap in Osmosis, and then withdraw the Atom. Now with the new swap feature on 𝐂𝐲, this can be done just in one click. You can choose the token you want to swap and the token you want to receive, and select the slippage for the swap. Also, you can choose a network in which you want to receive the token from the swap. For example, you can choose to receive Atom on the Cosmos hub or also on Osmosis, for example. This is a great UX improvement and really simple to use. Good news for Neutron since the NTRN token has been listed on Binance. This has brought great liquidity to NTRN, which previously was trading mostly on Astroport. Moreover, it is now likely that other exchanges will also start listing NTRN following the Binance listing. The dYdX v4 chain launch is approaching, but until then there will be several phases. First of all, dYdX trading selects validators for Genesis. Other dYdX entities such as the dYdX Foundation or the dYdX Operations Subdao are not involved in selecting validators for the Genesis. Around 30 validators will agree on the contents of the Genesis file and create the first block. This is expected to happen in the next few weeks. Then, post-Genesis will involve the alpha and beta phases. During the alpha phase, trading won't still be enabled and the focus will be on the network security and stability, including decentralization of token distribution. Before moving into the beta phase, it will be required that a sufficient amount of dYdX tokens are staked in a decentralized way to ensure security of the network. Also, it will be required that no further updates or fixes are expected, amongst other factors. Then, during the beta phase, trading will then be enabled on the dYdX v4 chain. As part of the launch process, an audit of the dYdX v4 code was completed by Informal Systems, and in addition, there is an ongoing bug bounty program. There are discussions as well with the dYdX community to migrate the current community and rewards treasuries from the current dYdX chain on Ethereum to the new dYdX v4 chain on Cosmos. Another discussion is related to requesting $20 million in dYdX tokens from the community treasury of the new v4 chain for a 6-month launch incentives program. A new rebranded IBC logo and website were announced. We have included below the link to the new website. 𝐂𝐸 announced progress to bring IBC to the BSC chain and to Ethereum. 𝐂𝐸 announced that the repo for demonstrating bridging between Ethereum and Cosmos via IBC is now public. 𝐂𝐸 mentioned that during Q4, the focus will be on audits, and then in Q1 of 2024, it will be live on the testnet, and the mainnet launch is expected for Q2 of 2024. According to 𝐂𝐸, soon Cosmos, Ethereum, and BSC will be able to communicate via IBC. Composable Finance also announced the launch of the Ethereum IBC testnet. The Asset Mantle Identity Names, or AMI names, are here. AMI names is Cosmos' first self-sovereign identity, or SSIs for short, which will be permanently allocated to you and will never expire. This is unlike other naming services, just Ethereum's ENS, for example. The key advantages of AMI names compared to traditional naming systems like DNS, Domain Name System, or ENS, Ethereum Name Service, are self-sovereign identity, permanently allocated, globally accessible, and resolvable through decentralized identifiers, or DIDs for short, and account abstraction, allowing you to use multiple provision addresses as keys to maintain control. Below, you'll find the link to the blog post with all details and to the AMI Names website to claim your AMI name. The Cosmos Hub Proposal 826 is a signaling proposal about introducing a minimum 5% commission. Since the proposal passed, this minimum 5% fee will be implemented in an upcoming software upgrade. Only a few validators voted no on this proposal. The largest validator voting no was All Nodes, which has a 0% fee. A few validators voted abstain, including some with very low few, such as SG1 or Swiss Staking. But the overall majority of validators voted yes in this proposal. Another governance proposal in the Cosmos Hub is to transfer unclaimed tokens from the NTR and airdrop to the Cosmos Hub community pool. We think that a portion of these tokens could be sent to the community pool. However, the revenue that Neutron brought to Cosmos Hub stakers and validators in September was $335. When a new network launches in Cosmos, they need to find validators and bootstrap their security. Validators, of course, perform in-depth due diligence of costs and revenues to decide whether to join a specific network. Neutron didn't have to search for validators or bootstrap the network. They directly benefited from the Cosmos Hub validator set and security. For Neutron, of course, this is great, but what about the Cosmos Hub validators? Until when is Neutron expecting the Cosmos Hub validators to keep paying infra costs to run Neutron without any revenues? We think that a part of these unclaimed tokens from the airdrop should be used as a revenue for validators, since there is no inflation in Neutron and also no revenues for months. This could be a way to provide some revenue to Cosmos Hub validators. IBC will be introduced to the Ethereum developer community during the IBC Summit, Istanbul, on November 14th. During this event, there will be talks, workshops, panels, and hackathons. Some of the organizers of the IBC Summit include the Interchain Foundation and Polymer. We included in the description below the link to the website for further details and to register to the event. USDC is a stablecoin with the largest volume on Osmosis. However, USDC was not native but bridged via XLR, for example. Now, thanks to Noble, there is native USDC on Osmosis, which could bring significant liquidity to Osmosis. We included a link below to see the current USDC supply in Noble and other networks. Currently, Noble has over $5 million native USDC supply. For comparison, Polkadot has around $1 million and Near around $2 million. But a large growth could be expected because Avalanche has $350 million in native USDC and Solana has over $620 million. Finally, the native USDC supply in Ethereum is over $23 billion. According to Numia, the total Osmosis revenue in September was $35,000 from ProtoRev, $5,000 from transaction fees, and over $2 million from swap fees. The swap fees revenue showed an improvement growth compared to the previous months. The Juno working group posted on the Commonwealth Forum 3 nomination threads for the Departments of Operations, Community Relations, and Development. You can nominate yourself as well for these positions if you would like to take part and contribute to Juno. pSTAKE submitted a governance proposal in the Cosmos Hub to increase the maximum block gas parameter from 40 million to 100 million because unstaking transactions were going out of gas on pSTAKE. The proposal clarifies that several networks in Cosmos, such as Osmosis for example, have higher gas limits, and this didn't slow down the block production. In the Cosmos Hub with replicated security, there are more tokens to claim as rewards on every staking, unstaking, or withdraw transaction, and hence the gas required to process these transactions increased significantly to approximately 20K per additional token claim. This affects especially liquid staking providers with large validator sets. Thanks to gas proposal 829 approved, this issue will be solved. The official secret network channel was launched on OmniFlix Network TV for interactive educational content. The first video has been released on the platform to learn about how private DeFi really is by an interactive comparison to Uniswap and Shade protocol. To also participate and learn with this interactive video, we included below the link to the video on OmniFlix TV. You can easily connect your 𝐂𝐴 wallet to start interacting and learning with the video. Injective and Google Cloud are launching the Injective Illuminate Global Virtual Hackathon. During the 4-week online hackathon, it is possible to kickstart your project from idea to launch with mentorship from industry leaders. The registration period will be from October 2nd until October 31st. Then the online submission deadline will be November 30th, and the project evaluation period from December 1st to 13th. Finally, the demo date will be on December 14th. The DeFi infrastructure and tooling track has the following prizes: $30,000 for the first place, $20,000 for the second place, and $10,000 for the third place. There is also a Web3 track of NFTs, gaming, and SocialFi with similar prizes. In total, the prize pool is $100,000. Stride suggested an idea in the Cosmos Hub forum for a merger with the Cosmos Hub, meaning that Atom would become the governance token of Stride and all Stride revenues would go to Atom stakers and validators. Stride mentioned that Atom is the most decentralized governance token in the world, and hence Stride would be more robust with Atom as a governance token. However, the idea was not well received, and both the Stride and Cosmos Hub community showed resistance and opposition to this idea. Stride mentioned that this idea won't be implemented unless both Stride and Cosmos Hub governance approve the idea. The Stride governance proposal to approve the redelegation of Atom to the new selected host chain validators was approved on the 24th of September. The timeline expected for the redelegations was around 2 or 3 weeks after the governance proposal was approved. So, the redelegation should be completed soon, within a week. As a reminder, the selection process of the host chain validators for the Cosmos Hub and also for Osmosis started with the opening of applications for validators in July. Stride even delayed the deadline to submit applications by over a week to allow more validators to apply. Applications were also open for community members to be part of the evaluation council. Stride then selected community members for the Cosmos Hub and Osmosis councils. But before they started evaluating applications, governance proposals were submitted to the Cosmos Hub and Osmosis to approve the evaluation councils. Then the council evaluated all applications, and validators were organized in 4 quartiles according to their voting power. Finally, the top 8 validators by average score in each quartile were selected. This whole process started in July, so it has been a complex and decentralized process over several months, involving several governance proposals in both the Cosmos Hub and Osmosis to select the host chain validators. Banks would have to disclose crypto holdings under a new BIS plan in December of last year. The Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, or BIS for short, which supports central banks' pursuit of monetary and financial stability through international cooperation and acts as a central bank of central banks, and includes banking supervisors from 28 global jurisdictions, including the US, UK, and European Union, published a global prudential standards for banks' exposure to crypto assets that impose capital requirements to protect traditional financial institutions, or TradeFi, from the risks associated with cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, BTC, and Ether, ETH. In the aftermath of what the BIS described as the most significant system-wide banking stress in terms of scale and scope since the Great Financial Crisis of 2008, which saw the failure of Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic Bank, and Signature Bank of New York, and a near collapse of Credit Suisse, which was later acquired by its competitor UBS. The BIS published a report assessing the causes of the turmoil, the regulatory and supervisory responses, and the initial lessons learned. The report was endorsed by the Group of Governors and Heads of Supervision, or GHOS for short, the oversight body of the BIS. The report examines 3 structural trends that may have indirectly contributed to the bank's failures: the increasing role of non-bank intermediation in recent years, the concentration of crypto assets in a small number of banks, and the ability of customers to move funds faster due to increasing digitalization. In addition, the report especially highlighted the role of crypto in the failure of Signature Bank of New York. The bank's significant client concentration of digital asset companies put it in a precautious position where the crypto winter hit in 2022, and the Signature Bank of New York's poor governance and inadequate risk management practices put the bank in a position where it could not effectively manage its liquidity in a time of stress. Finally, the report says that it only provides an assessment of the causes of the banking turmoil, the regulatory and supervisory responses, and the initial lessons learned. The discussion in the report is not indication of planned revisions to the Basel framework. However, based on the findings of the report, the committee is pursuing a number of initiatives, including prioritizing work to strengthen supervisory effectiveness and identifying issues that may merit additional guidance at the global level, and pursuing additional follow-up analytical work based on empirical evidence to assess whether specific features of the Basel framework performed as intended during the turmoil, such as liquidity risk and interest rate risk in the banking book, and assessing the need to explore policy options over the medium term. The BIS agreed to consult on a set of disclosure requirements related to banks' crypto asset exposures. These disclosures would complement the prudential standard for such exposures that was published in December of last year. The consultation paper will be published soon. And that is all for today's Cosmos Ecosystem Bi-Weekly Review. So if you enjoyed it, Cosmonauts, remember to click that like button, subscribe button, and the bell icon too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you, Cosmonauts, very soon in the next episode.